As part of our site survey workflow, let's take a look at adding a traverse to display a feature on this survey. And we're going to do the shoreline here. So in the previous videos, we got to this point where we had all of our deeds records on here and our control points that we picked up for not just finding the monuments and locating search positions, but also we picked up our site survey points and our topo points. And I'm basically ready to start working on the site survey. So I'm going to tell Traverse BC that this working drawing, I want to create a duplicate of that. That retains all the points and traverses in here for me. Just a real easy way to do this. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this site survey. And Traverse BC asks if I want to open that duplicate, and here it's open. Now I'm going to start, first of all, by turning off the deeds I don't want to show. So those are gone. And I basically am telling Traverse BC I don't want to see them in this particular drawing that I'm doing. And then we did this earlier. I'm going to go into Zoom and Window Extents and say I want to be a little more selective now about the area I use for scaling. So I'm going to pick just like that. And now once I've got 18 feet to the inch, I can say, you know, I'm probably going to do this at more like 20 feet to the inch. And away I go. Now, I'm going to turn on the descriptions for these points. So I can put the cursor over any one of these points that are here, these symbols, double click. It takes me into the Traverse settings. And because these are side shots, so this was a side shot I clicked, Traverse BC opens me up in the side shot tab. And I just want to say I want points and descriptions on those, so labels and descriptions. And now I see labels and descriptions on here. Now the shoreline that I'm interested is over here. In fact, if I show you the original drawing here real quick, you'll kind of get a feel for what we're after. I want this shoreline over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick this up in this drawing. So go back to our site survey drawing. And if I zoom in on this area over here, I can see these are the points that I designated as shore points. So I've got shore, shore, shore. Looks like this. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a shore point there, 218 shore. A real quick way to get all the points into Traverse, and we'll look at several in this workflow series, is just to select these points in the point manager or in a Traverse and add them to a Traverse. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to go to points. I've got the points sorted by description. Okay, so I just clicked on the description column here. Traverse BC came down and just sorted all those points for me. And I'm just going to highlight these shore points here. So 223 down to 216. Looks like I'll get all of them. And then I'm going to choose this command right here, add selected points to Traverse. And I can call this what I want. I'm going to call it shoreline. I'm going to pick where I want to insert these. However, with the groups turned on, I'll show you where we have to kind of track those down. And then I'm going to pick just some information here. I'm telling it how to display it. If I open the Traverse view, that's this format. And the settings are how I want to draw it. And I used a predefined setting called Foundations. I can change that right here. So I can hit the settings button here. And I can come in now and set, let's say, a line type. I don't want the dashed. Okay. And since these are going to be control points, I probably want to do that in the control points section for this Traverse. So let's do the same for control points. Traverse BC keeps side shot settings different from control point settings. So let's get back to that phantom line. I'll use a phantom 2. Change that thickness again here. No points, no symbols. That looks good. Okay, and let's choose OK. So Traverse BC just added those shore points to this Traverse. And I can see that it delineated that Traverse for me here in the drawing. And I can turn that delineation off. And now it's up to that Traverse to draw this shoreline for me. So for instance, if I came back up and said, I want to turn off these control points here, here's my shoreline Traverse. If I put the cursor over any of the lines there, it tells me it's the tangent section between 220 and 221 from the Shoreline Traverse. And I can double click this to bring up the Traverse settings that are drawing this shoreline for me and change whatever I want to change. If I want this to be a thicker line, I can make it a thicker line. If I want to add a symbol or annotations or whatever to that, I could do that, and I just change the way it draws it. So that's that whole quick view concept where the traverses actually create the entities in the drawing. And all I had to do was to create the traverse, and I did that by adding those shore points to the Shoreline Traverse.